Our son's name is Sebastian. I remember holding him for most of the day because we didn't ever put him down. He was always in somebody's arms. And I remember how heavy he was, being 9 pounds, 11 ounces. That's a big boy. You know, it can be compared to a bowling ball. He was big.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it, and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us.
Ben, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming. I got to talk with you a little bit beforehand and connect with you, and it was wonderful. Talk to you, talk about your wife, Paige, talk about your son, Sebastian, a little bit, talk about your love for music, love for all things video and television, and a little bit of spelunking, which, if people don't know about spelunking, will you tell people who don't know what a spelunker is?
Yeah, it's otherwise known as caving, where you get a helmet and gear on, you go inside caves and explore formations inside there, and stalactites, stalagmites, and crawl into crevices and see nice big open rooms. And
you don't do it as much now, but you used to do it a lot.
yeah, no, I don't do as much of it now, for sure. When I got married to Paige, most of my outdoor extracurriculars kind of became a lot less.
Back burners.
Yeah.
You'll never stop it, but you might not actively be doing it.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Sure. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're living, how you met Paige. Just, a little bit brief history about your history.
Well, Paige was born and grew up in Iowa, and I was born and raised in Arkansas, and she moved down to Arkansas when she was sometime in her youth, and we met online, and we're 2 hours away, and so had a long distance relationship for a bit, and then blossomed into when she moved in, and then we got married 4 years ago. We just had our 4-year anniversary a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And we've almost been together for 10 years. It'll be 8 years. She's amazing. I love my wife. She is someone that really makes me better as a person, and that's something that I value. I don't like to stay the same, stay stagnant. I like to improve, be a better person, and learn new things and meet new people. And she definitely helps me do that. And I help her meet new people because I'm more of the social butterfly than she is.
Well, good. Good women are wonderful things, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Because, without Winter, I would be a schlub. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Before I met Paige, I was eating pasta for dinner and every night, and pizza and takeout, and
Yeah, well, back in the day, I could do that too. So
yeah.
Well, wonderful. You've known Paige for 10 years. You've been married to Paige for 4 years. Have you guys always wanted a family? Did you guys start planning on having a family? Was your son sort of a surprise? Was
Definitely not a surprise. We Paige had a little bit of fertility problems, and so we had to get her on a medication to help that along. And then come to find out that without the medication, it wouldn't be possible. But we initially, she knew she wanted kids, and since she was an adolescent, she knew she always wanted to be a mom. She always wanted to have kids. I never really clung to either side. Like most guys, I kind of just had the, if it
Yeah.
happens, it happens.
Yeah.
I was never super excited about possibly being a dad. That's one of the things that I regret.
Mm.
That's probably my biggest regret is that I didn't embrace the pregnancy
Oh,
like
okay.
like I wish that I should
Yeah.
have.
Oh, that's very
Like,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I yeah, we started talking about kids. I mean, all my cousins and sisters, or
Hmm.
my one brother, sister-in-law, all the people in my family had started having kids,
Yeah.
and so we're kind of the last one that doesn't have any, and so it took my first niece to be, I think she was 1, maybe 2 years old, and it was at Christmas, and
Hmm.
Paige said to me, she was like, yeah,
She sure was
my
cute.
right, my grandma's pushing like, when is it gonna be you? And and because I was always like, no, we should wait longer. We're until we're more financially ready. We should wait. So it
Uh-huh.
was me that was holding us back.
Hey,
She
hey,
was ready, and so that Christmas came along. And Grandma asked us. She was like, "Are you guys gonna be?" And we were like, I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And Paige flipped around. She said, "What?" Seriously, super excited. She
Mm,
was like, "Let's get started right away." And then and that's when we found out that she had fertility issues, and sought some and found a medication that worked, and she tried it, and it she had a she had a miscarriage at like 4 or 5 weeks,
mm.
and then quickly after that, like a month after that, then she got pregnant with Sebastian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we had a miscarriage too, and it's a very hard thing. It's a lonely thing. It's a lonely thing too. So the life we take, the journey we take in life is always full of weird things. So the miscarriage and then Sebastian, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
hard.
yeah. Yeah. I could tell you all about the pregnancy.
Oh man. Well, let's talk about it. You how did she was she feeling sick, morning sickness, and was like, oh, or was she like 10 days late? She's like, oh, we should
So
probably figure this
um,
out. Why am I?
it was summer when we got pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
because it was March when we was his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So for it was not really, we got lucky. It was during 20 it's 2023 now. It was
Yeah.
last year. So yeah, it was during 2022. And we didn't really have a hot summer last year
So
here in Arkansas.
would this be summer of 2021 because Sebastian was born in 2022, March, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
Hey, yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, so and we didn't really have a hot summer, and that was nice because that was
Oh,
the first, the first trimester.
yeah.
And so she didn't really have she got lucky. She didn't really have a lot of morning sickness, and her cravings definitely increased though. She was real hungry. She didn't really have a lot of weird cravings
Oh, yeah.
like a lot of pregnancies do. But she definitely was hungry a lot, and she was ready for a snack anytime. But
Yeah.
I remember her outfits changing to maternity clothes, and she finally accepted it and was like, "Well, now's the time." And then it was the
Get those
greatest
extra.
thing to her once she changed. She was like, "I'm
Yeah.
never going back."
Those extra stretchies.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it was great. And we had a really, going all the way through the months into winter. Um, we had the house getting ready to sell.
Oh, okay.
All the way
Yeah.
through fall. We were getting the house ready, and in winter is when we really started buckling down, um, because the house that we were in was a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and that's fine. But if you're gonna
Yeah.
have a baby,
Yeah.
that extra bedroom was our office, and we're office people. We like to use our computers, and so I did not want to have to sacrifice that because
Yeah.
then that's where I spend most of my free time is the office.
Yeah. Children cramp everything. They cramp your style, man.
Well, and I mean, the house just really isn't what we pictured for raising a family,
As a
and
family, yeah.
so we decided we needed a bigger house, and so while she was pregnant, we were trying to fix up what needed to be fixed because it was an older house,
Hmm.
and so we had this big crawl space job that got done, or these professionals came in and completely encapsulated the crawl space, made it look really nice, and then we got a brand new AC unit, like really updated the house.
Yeah.
And so we got the changes we needed done and updates, and it was ready. And so in December, our realtor, um, she put it up for sale like on January 1st. And within the first week, we had offers and people coming over, and I mean, it was really popular,
Yeah.
especially because the town we were in. It's a really good school
Oh,
there,
okay.
so a lot of people are pushing there. So,
Yeah.
so we ended up getting the house sold, and so then January, and see the thing is, the house that we were moving into, this house, it wasn't going to be ready until into
Oh,
February. It was still
yeah.
being built. So we had to had this leniency. Luckily, the people that were buying it allowed us to stay
To
in the
stay in
house
there for.
until this was built.
Well, that's
And
nice.
so yeah, and so over a month and a half, we were packing up the house and getting it ready to move, while she's 7 months pregnant.
Yeah. Oh. So it's
And
mostly you doing it, so.
yeah, no, it was a lot of me doing it for sure. And then into February came, and we got the house moved into right there at the end of February, and then we started moving in over a course of a week and a half. We were unpacking and unboxing a lot quicker than we had originally planned to because we got a baby coming soon.
Yeah. Now, within this selling your house, buying a new house,
Mhm.
uh, it's during the COVID pandemic.
Yep, that too.
Um, all the doctors' checkups, were you able to go? Were you able to be a part of it? Or were you more like give me the report, tell me how everything's going?
No, I definitely was able to go, luckily, to a lot of them, most of them. And because she is diabetic,
Hmm.
and that automatically makes her a high risk patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we had to go to a special high risk doctor
Oh, okay.
in Little Rock, which isn't too far of a drive from our
Yeah.
town of where we live. But and so once a month she had to go and get monitored
Hmm. Hmm.
and make sure everything is good to go. And so it was in January when we found out he was breech. Actually, we may have found out when he was not quite sure when exactly, but we
Yeah.
knew he was breech for
For a little
a
bit.
couple months. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but other than the breach, he was still great. But anyway, I was definitely able to go to those. I had to wear a mask, of
Yeah.
course. We both did.
Hmm. Was everything progressing well? Was, besides the breach at the very end, because babies move around in the belly all the time, but
Oh, for sure.
most of the time, all the checkups checked out? Huh?
It's wild.
Oh.
Every checkup was great. I mean, Sebastian was all A's,
Mm.
and he was in a great growth percentile. He was a
Mhm.
little bigger, but it was to be expected.
Yeah.
And um, he was very fidgety and kicked at a lot, and I got to feel some of the kicks, and that was cool. But
Mhm.
he was yeah, he was a star student for every checkup. And the day before, his final. We had the cesarean scheduled
Mm-hmm.
for Wednesday, March 9th, and so, or sorry, Tuesday, March 9th. It was my last day at work. Monday. It was Wednesday. Here we go.
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday because my last day at work was Monday. I was saying bye to all the coworkers. I'll see you guys in 6 weeks because I'm about to be off for paternity leave, which my worker was going to give me 6 weeks of full pay for
Hey.
paternity leave, which is I hear is rare for the dads to get that.
Yeah.
No, most of the time the moms do, but a lot of times the dads go. But
That's
we
very
had
nice.
yeah, we went in Tuesday, the day before, for a final checkup to see if he was still breech. It was a
Mm-hmm.
final um, ultrasound.
Yeah.
And she was performing the ultrasound, and she told us that I can't find a heartbeat. And
Mm.
that was the most earth-shaking words we'd ever heard. And she's, there was just a moment of silence there, and us just saying, "No, what? No, that's impossible. He was fine." We had just went that morning to the chiropractor to get an adjustment, and that was also something that had gone on through the pregnancy. Is we had went to the chiropractor, and they have this method they can use. I think it's called the Webster method,
Mm-hmm.
and it's where they can push on certain areas, and it'll give the baby more room. And so, and she said that helped a lot with like pains and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had gone before the ultrasound that morning, and we remember him saying that he felt a little different, like his positioning was a little different than he was used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we think that maybe Sebastian was already gone when we were there, and he was starting to drop.
Mm-hmm.
So we think
Yeah.
that's what he meant by the positioning was off, is that he was because what happened after they performed the cesarean the next day, we had found out that it was a placental abruption,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which we were very unfamiliar with. And the doctor said, normally these happen from a traumatic event, like a hard fall or a car wreck, and none of those things happened.
Yeah. Does not apply to you guys. Yeah.
No, no. And yeah, they said the placenta was 70% detached
Mm.
from the baby, and so he had no more blood flow and oxygen.
Oh man. I'm sorry. Let's go back to when you were in the final checkup for the ultrasound and the
Yeah,
the technician couldn't find a heartbeat.
yeah, and
And you
yeah,
guys
there was a moment of silence there, and we just were saying no a lot, and then she asked us if she wanted to check again,
Mhm.
and we said yes, please, and she did, and it was the same result, and a lot of tears were shed, and we love our OB. She is the perfect OB for
Mhm.
people who are going through that,
Yeah.
because she's gone through a similar experience herself. She's had a loss, and so
She can
she
have the
knows.
sympathy and the
Yeah,
empathy. Yeah.
very much so. And so she held us and talked to us, and she we said, what do we do now? What's the next step? And she said, well, we can deliver now, but we really don't need to. There would be, a lot of unnecessary things happen, like emergency C-section stuff, because
Yeah.
there's not an emergency at the time that
Yeah.
they know about. So we decided to keep the original
The
cesarean
original
schedule for that
date.
next
Yeah.
morning. And so she took us out at there was a side door, so we didn't have to go back through the lobby, which was
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
Um, so we went out to the car and started calling our moms and family,
those are such terrible, terrible phone calls to have to make. It's such a terrible thing for us as parents to lose our child, but then to have to tell people who love us and who love our child as well, I'm sorry. It's just a terrible situation all around.
Yeah, what made it kind of harder was that telling the first parent,
Mhm.
is the initial shock, and that's when it's off your chest and somebody knows.
Somebody else knows.
Somebody besides us and the doctor know what is now this train wreck that has happened.
Yeah.
And then we made another call, and we had to say it again. Every time we had to say it again, it was just like another car wreck. It was like one of
Yeah.
those when the road's icy and a car hits, and
Yeah.
then the next car comes and it can't stop in time and it hits, and then another one hits, and it didn't get easier.
Soon it's a 15-car pile up
Yeah,
of just
and
emotional.
we didn't drive directly home. We actually drove to my work because I was worried that because I work for it's a big company
Mhm.
that I work for, and so I needed to get that squared away
Yeah. Um,
because I had just been approved for 6 weeks
maternity,
off
yeah,
for
paternity leave, yeah.
right for paternal leave, and now that has to be changed to something else.
Something else. And how
And
did
so,
that how did that go?
man, it went. I left Paige in the car a little longer than I should have.
Oh.
Bless her heart. She is in the car. It was 20-minute drive to my work, and I go in, and my boss, who I had just spoken to the day prior,
Mhm.
you know, uh, with goodbyes, see you soon kind of thing. And now she came in, and I couldn't. She was at her desk, luckily, and I went straight to her desk, and I hardly got any words out, and I just started crying and hugged her, and I told her that we lost Sebastian. He doesn't have a heartbeat, and she just held me. And so we left there, and but yeah, I stayed in and talked with her about 20 minutes or so. It seemed
Mhm.
like it may have only
Yeah.
been about 10, but everything seems longer in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
We went home, and uh, Paige's mom at the time, she's a traveling nurse, and so she was on an assignment about 2 hours away.
Oh, okay.
And so she left work that minute, came straight to our house. Paige's sister and stepdad came down from their home, which is like also about an hour and a half away. And so all three of them came down and stayed with us that evening. That night, her sister and stepdad went back home, and her mom stayed with us that night
Mhm.
and went with us to the hospital the next morning, which was really nice because, for
Oh,
one,
yeah.
I didn't have to drive.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not in a proper state of mind to yeah.
Yeah, and at the time, uh, driving to my work and driving home, I was all right.
Mhm.
I think I was more in of defensive. I got to be there for her. I
Yeah.
mean, I was still, I wasn't holding anything back. I was crying as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was able to still drive and everything. But her mom is amazing. I I love her. She she was in such great support, and she was lucky enough to have the ability to stay with us
Mhm.
for the next 2 weeks
Oh,
after she stayed with us and did our cooking and cleaning and laundry, and really just allowed us to
yeah.
grieve.
Yeah, a great blessing for that too, yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys get home, um, her family's there to mourn with you, to be with you.
Yep.
Did the hospital tell you exactly, like, what the plan was going to be? Like, "Hey, we'll come back, tomorrow," I guess it would be come back tomorrow, and we'll start the cesarean
Yep.
or
We still kept the same appointment. It
kept
was
the same
early at seven
appointment?
o'clock in the morning, and so we attempted to sleep that night.
Oh yeah, the attempted
But
part. Yeah,
you know, how do you get any sleep knowing that your
yeah,
child is inside you, but he's gone?
yeah.
But yeah, we got some sleep that night, and maybe an hour or two, and I think it was about 2 in the morning, and we couldn't sleep, and her mom couldn't sleep either. She came in there, and we just talked for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then just started getting up and getting ready, getting the bag packed for the hospital, and then we got up and left for the hospital and got there a little early because we were already up,
Mhm.
and they got us situated and back to the room and got Paige in a gown. And
Was it just you and Paige, or was your mother-in-law, because she's a medical? I don't know.
Mhm.
You said that she was a traveling nurse. Was she able to come with you, or?
Yeah, like I said, she was there. She drove us there and was able to stay with us the whole day.
Oh, good.
And I think for the next 2 weeks, she really only went home for like a day, maybe, and
Hmm.
and then she came right back.
Yeah.
But um, but yeah, the hospital was still under COVID restrictions,
Hmm.
and so the visitors were slim to none
Yeah.
uh, for standard policies. Yeah, her being a nurse definitely helped with just standard care in the room, like
Hmm.
anything Paige needed or adjusted or bed or anything.
She know how
Uh,
to do it. Yeah.
yeah, she knows all that. That's her job, and um, so we got there, and she was being taken back, and I didn't go with her back to the room. I'm not sure if I could. I think they said I might have been able to, but she was going under general
Anesthesia.
anesthesia,
Yeah.
and I think when they're going under general, they don't have people in
Hmm.
there. But if it's just the
The spinal tap, or
yeah, if it's
the
just that, then yeah, of course they'll be back there. But
spinal
and
block.
that
Spinal
was
block.
well, yeah, I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that the doctor told us when we were still at the clinic doing the last minute ultrasound is that um, you can deliver naturally
Hmm.
because he's breech. Normally that would be, a breech baby is not delivered naturally because, there's the risk of their head getting caught. And, um, but because he's already gone, that's not, you know,
Not a
a
yeah, concern.
right. Um, but there is still the possibility of more trauma because they can get stuck
Hmm.
when you're delivering breech naturally. And so that would be even more traumatic. We decided to just go under general and have cesarean. She didn't want to be awake for it. She could have just had the spinal to where she could have been awake for it, but she decided she didn't want to, and I can't blame her. I
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know if that was me, if I would want to be awake for that either.
Yeah.
Um, some women do. We've talked to women and couples who've gone through that, and some do. So then, procedure went great. Paige did great. Didn't lose hardly any blood. And about 8 o'clock, they came back and told us that she did great and that we can go see her in recovery. So me and her mom went and saw her, and she's very loopy because she's
Yeah. Coming
just
out of.
coming out of general anesthesia, so she is barely
Yeah.
lucid.
Yeah.
And she said, "Where's my baby?" And we told her they were that what they told us, which is that they were taking pictures of him at that time, cleaning him up
Hmm.
because that was the warmest he was going to be, and so
Yeah.
it was the best time to take pictures. Is the time where he had the most color,
Yeah.
and so they did. They took a lot of great pictures, and then they actually gave the camera to us for the day,
Oh,
and we took about 230 pictures.
oh, that's so special. That is so special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they kept the camera. We just kept
Yeah. You
the
got,
SD card or
yeah.
whatever. But
Now, a lot of people think it's a very macabre thing for parents of loss to take photos of their child. And what people don't understand is this is the only time we have to make the memories with our child. And
yeah,
these photos are going to last us a lifetime, to show our families, to show our friends that we have a child we love dearly. And a lot of people are just like, oh man, that's so macabre, that's so morose, why would you want pictures of a child who's passed away? But it's like, no, this is our child. Sebastian is your child. You had dreams, you had a life that you were planning for him. It has changed, but it still doesn't change the love. So I'm so glad that they took photos for you, but also gave you the opportunity to take photos yourself. This is the first time I've heard of a hospital giving, because Winter and I, we had our cell phones and we took photos as well, but
oh,
um
we had photos with
yeah,
phones and the
yeah,
camera and other people's
yeah,
phones. Yeah, there was a lot
yeah,
taken that day.
yeah. So
Um,
this is the first time I've heard of a hospital giving
yeah, yeah,
a camera, which you know is nice.
yeah. It was really nice. My my first real breakdown was when they brought him out to us.
Hmm.
I I fell to my knees. And I just let out this cry, pain,
Your soul is wailing. Your heart is broken.
and the we were still in recovery at the time when they brought him out to us, and and all the nurses and everything around were just silent, and that was one of the most awkward silences I think that I've ever known is the silence of an infant death. It was just like it was like the world paused for us.
Yeah.
It was like the earth stopped spinning.
Your world had stopped spinning.
Yeah.
Your life, your life is forever changed.
We went back to the room and kept him for the whole day, 10 hours. Throughout the day we um, passed him in arms of holding and took lots of pictures and uh, luckily they extended the visitors, so my mother was able to be there, and my brother and um, my stepdad and my sister-in-law. At the time, my sister-in-law was actually working. She was one of the uh, like director of nurses
Oh.
or something there. Like she does like scheduling her,
Hmm.
and so she was actually at work at the time, and she was able to be in the room with us almost the whole day. And so we all got to my brother, my mom, all got to hold him that day, and
Now
then
again, Sebastian, you said, was 9 pounds 11 ounces,
yeah,
and that's a very, as you said in your opener, he's a big boy.
yeah, 14-inch chest,
Yeah,
14 inches long, big
he's,
boy.
and I'm sure he just a beautiful little baby
Oh
being,
yeah,
and it's, even though it's hard to see, I'm sure it was wonderful to see your family there holding him.
it was. And talking about him, he had these like what look like ruby red lips. I
Yeah.
think they put a little bit of lipstick on
No,
just to
it's Because
help.
our son had that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, just the extra blood in the lips.
yeah, and a couple things they didn't tell us that would happen with the decomposing baby is the fluid that leaks out of the nose
Yeah,
because we would hold them, and then if we tilted
yeah,
down just a little bit, the it started to drain out. So we were wiping his nose throughout the day. Every time every time he started leaking, it would his Paige would have a motherly instinct of oh no, I gotta fix that.
yeah, yeah. Our son had that as well. Brandon would leak out of his nose, and then he'd get a little bit of fluid drool. And as a parent, tenderly dab that and wipe it away.
Yep. One of the more grotesque things that nobody tells you, and is that their skin
Mhm.
is not
No.
attached like you think it is,
Yeah.
because we he was wearing a onesie and we needed to get footprints for
Yeah.
memories, and so we got footprints and a lot of things. But in order to get to his feet, we had to unzip and remove the onesie off of his legs.
Yeah.
And so when we did that, we saw his legs and chest were just completely exposed. They were red because the skin had rolled up at his ankles and up to his neck,
Yeah.
and it was just red skin. I compare it to like the look of muscles.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm glad you point that out. Nobody warned us about it either. And our son developed it was almost like a blister that had popped, and he developed it on his chin
yeah,
and around his wrists and on his ankles,
yep.
and and it breaks your heart because you you want to hold them and to love them, and but the more you do, the more it exposes that
The more they
skin.
shift and
Yeah,
change,
yeah,
and it looks like they're in pain, but they're not.
yeah. Thank you for addressing that, because a lot of
Yeah,
people don't know that.
and the funeral home came that night. Luckily, the funeral home we chose, Roller Meat Net, they are one of the nearby ones, and they do no charge
Mhm.
for infancy loss. They cover everything, which was awesome.
That's a
That's
yeah.
an entire expense that
You weren't
no
you
no
never
parent,
expected to, yeah.
no, no. And so they came and they carried him out. They didn't place him in anything. They physically carried him, which was nice.
Yeah.
And so we went home, and well, no, they carried him out, and we tried to get a little sleep
Yeah.
because, of course, Paige was fresh from surgery. She
Yeah.
still needed to be in the bed and recover a little bit more
Yeah.
before she could be discharged. We stayed that night in the hospital, and Paige finally, it was about 11 o'clock, and she finally just
Out of
finally,
exhaustion.
yeah, uh, got some sleep, and that's when we slept as well. And a couple times during the night where she was woken up. Um, One of the most painful screams I've ever heard from my wife was when she was attempting to get up with the nurses in the middle of the night to go and use the restroom
Mhm.
because the surgery was so fresh. The pain that she experienced just trying to get up and move, it was it was like somebody was stabbing her. It was so bad. And actually that was during the day I still had Sebastian in my arms at that time.
Mhm.
But yeah, we got some sleep that night, and then the next morning they discharged her, and we went home and took a brief nap, couple 2-3 hour nap, and then 3-4 in the afternoon, and funeral home called and said, "We're ready. We have Sebastian ready." So we went and held them one last time. We got to the funeral home, and um, they before we went back and saw him, they showed us we sat down in a room with one of the funeral directors, and
Mhm.
he showed us an urn that they had picked out, and it was this cute little white urn with a blue and white teddy bear on it. It was pretty perfect,
Yeah.
and so they said, that's just the one that they had picked out. If we want any kind of more elaborate one, we can. It'll just be a little extra charge, but that
Yeah.
one, and we were like, no, it was adorable. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And so we signed some forms, and then we went and saw him and held him. And I think Paige held him first. And I say first because the order kind of matters, because I somebody had passed, I think it was her, and they passed him to me, and I held him, and that was the last time I held him. And then when I gave him back, I I sat back in my chair, and I kind of phased out of reality.
Yeah.
I entered into kind of a paralytic state where I didn't breathe or speak or do anything for about 30 seconds. My mom just held me and patted my head. I was in shock.
The world that you and Paige had planned and built for was going to be changed.
And so we left the funeral home and spent the next 2 weeks at the house, in which Paige's mom was there to be there for us, and several times her sister and stepdad came down, and my mom and had come down a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
When we man, the next day, um, we had so much food in the freezer and fridge from friends and family coming and bringing us food. My goodness, we didn't have to we didn't have to leave the house for anything, and that was the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And so we heated up a lot of meals, some great, some not so great.
But
But
who's gonna complain about free meal, right?
exactly, right. We didn't have to cook, and the best thing about those pre-made meals is there's no dishes,
Yeah.
because a lot of time they're in stuff that you just heat up and then throw away. That was really nice.
The outpouring of love of family and friends
Yeah,
and neighbors is
I'd like to backtrack if I could.
sure, yeah.
As we were getting the house set up, this is a week prior to uh, to the delivery date.
Mm-hmm.
We had just moved in, and it was the weekend before. So we had the ultrasound on Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
and had Sebastian on Wednesday. And so this is the Saturday, Sunday right before that. We were setting up the nursery that weekend.
Yeah.
And so we built the what the baby goes in.
The crib,
The crib.
the
We had built the
bassinet,
crib, and we had built
sort of
what do you
like
call it?
a swinging chair or a
Yeah, kind of a swinging chair, yeah.
yeah.
And so we had put that together and got other kinds and built the dresser for the baby, and so we spent that whole weekend getting the room ready. And I was working that weekend too, so
Yeah.
it was while I was off at night,
Yeah.
and I work 6 to 6, so I'm
Pretty exhausted.
yeah, yeah. But look, I was trying to take it easy at work so that I had the energy to come home and build.
Yeah. The
But
love
yeah, go back to where we were. We we had spent the time at home with Paige's mom, and she made us take baths, which is not something
Which
that you normally have to make
no,
somebody do.
no, but in the state of mind that you guys are in,
Yeah.
it's good somebody made you.
No, yeah, and I mean it's like, yeah, I'm gonna take a shower. She's like, when's the last time you took a shower? I was like
Yeah,
4 days ago. She's like, get in the shower. I'm like, okay,
you're past due.
yeah. Oh man, taking a shower after having surgery, that's a an event in and of itself.
Yeah.
The pain of trying to raise your arm up to wash your own hair, something as simple as that. It's so painful because you're stretching.
Yeah, all those, and I'm sure Paige. Did you have to help Paige or?
I think I tried to. I think her mom helped a lot with those.
Yeah. But yeah, it's amazing because Winter with our first child had a cesarean, and all the muscles somehow are tied together.
Yeah.
You want to scratch the top of your head, you're going to feel it.
Hmm.
And I just remember Winter complaining about that as well. So yeah, taking a shower sure was not an enjoyable thing
No.
right
Um,
after.
I'll mention something about Sebastian that we remember having that we've heard not a lot of people get to experience,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a smell.
Oh.
We got to keep the smell. I'll tell you how.
Mm-hmm.
We the nurse that took care of us, I'm blanking on her name right now, but she was amazing. And she was handpicked by our OB.
Mm-hmm.
She was incredible. She is the one that was there for us the whole day, and we were her only patient. She
Yeah.
was dedicated to us, and she helped us undress him for the feet pictures and helped us with everything that we needed. And so she held him a lot that day,
Mm-hmm.
and so his swaddle and his
The little
the
hat.
the cap on his head
Yeah.
smelled like him. And so we thought it was kind of a sweet smell,
Mm-hmm.
and it was I don't remember when, but I think it was that night after they had taken Sebastian, and
Yeah.
Paige was trying to get some sleep,
Yeah.
and so it was dark in the room, and the nurse had came in, and she was just doing a checkup on Paige while she was sleeping. And Mandy, Paige's mom, had mentioned. She said, I'm, I'm sorry to ask, but are you wearing a perfume?"
Oh.
And she said, "Yeah, yeah. Is it bothering?" And she was like, "We're like, no, no, no. It smells like Sebastian." And she said, "Oh, well, yeah. It's actually this perfume by Armani called Because of You." I mean, how
How
perfect is
how
that?
wonderful. Yeah.
And so she had went on Amazon and bought it and had it shipped to the house that next day. And sure enough, that was the smell that smelled just like him. And so
Association. Yeah.
we kept the cap, of course, and the swaddle, and we sprayed it with the stuff, so we will always be able to smell him, which is something that really it's part of the sensory memories that
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice. It's comforting.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That is smell is such a powerful memory. And now that you're able to spray it and remember
Mhm.
Bastion.
And oddly enough, we found a candle
Oh.
that smelled just like him too. It was like some kind of a citrus.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of green. I don't really remember, but we still have it. We haven't burned it all the way. We want to, keep it as long as we can.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing that. And so ever since then, we were always trying to search for that same candle again every time we were
Yeah.
in a shop and never could find it. But
Haven't been able to find it yet.
But we did find something that's very similar. It's not the same scent, but very similar in Bath and Body Works. A couple weeks ago, we were just there, and I smelled it, and I was like, "We got to get
Very,
it.
yeah, very
This is it."
close. Oh, good.
Yep.
Now let's talk about your recovery. Sebastian was cremated. When did you guys get his remains back?
We
And
got So he was cremated um, that next day. Well, that
hmm
next day is when we saw him Thursday,
yeah,
and and then we left, and he was ready to be picked up. I think the next day on Friday.
oh, okay. So
Um, he was ready to be picked up, and so we came and picked him up and took him home, and
yeah,
he has a permanent place on
uh-huh,
our I guess you'd call it a buffet, kind of like an entertainment center.
yeah,
Um, in our living room, he's right there in the center with a blanket that the OB gave us. It's white
hmm
with his name on the corner of it, and looks very nice. It's very soft, and so he's there all the time. And he's got pictures beside him, and we've got pictures of him all throughout our
all
house.
throughout. Yeah,
That was one of the first things that we did. I think a week and a half after was we went and got the pictures developed and framed. Not all of them, not
yeah,
all
oh yeah,
200,
yeah,
but yeah, we probably got 20 or so printed and developed and framed up in the house. I've got one on my desk. She's got one on her desk. They're on the walls in the hallway, in the living room, in our
mhm,
bedroom. We are not shy,
yeah.
and that is something that we won't hide.
And his first birthday has just passed a couple months ago of the time of recording. And how has
Yeah,
that first year been? I'm
yeah.
sure it's
Oh
there's a
man,
lot of loss, there's a lot of sorrow, there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of everything. But how
yeah.
has it been for you?
And something. The aftermath. That's the most complex
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
because oddly enough, the before is actually pretty simple. It's a lot of happiness and nervousness,
Yeah.
but you have one goal.
Yeah.
The baby's
Yeah.
going to be here. We're gearing up for that.
Yeah.
But then after, it's this whole world of
It's almost
what
like
do we,
listlessness.
yeah, it's like what do we do now?
Yeah.
And it's like how do we live now? The that that morning, we went to the chiropractor, like I said, but we also had breakfast and lunch that day
Hmm.
out at two of our favorite places to go to for breakfast and lunch, and we haven't been back since because that was the day
Yeah.
that we found out, and so those places have a special meaning to us. I hope to go back soon because I really like those places and I miss them. They have good food.
Yeah.
But we have not been back to either place
Association.
since.
Yeah. The
But
association is so hard.
yeah, and that's part of the aftermath is why I brought it up because once all the food was gone through in the fridge and freezer from all the people bringing us food, we eventually had to go grocery shopping and go out to eat. Get food outside of the house that was already there. So talking about where do you want to go for dinner, where do you want to go for breakfast or lunch, and maybe every other month we would talk about maybe going back, and then we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Eventually, we will. I think we had decided that we would wait until after it had been a year
Hmm.
after his first birthday, and so now it has been. So maybe sometime soon we'll go. But we went to a support group
Hmm.
that our hospital puts on. It's called Healing Wings.
Now, is
Um,
this in person or is it on online
yeah,
support?
no, it's in person.
That's nice. That's very
And
nice.
we went. It's just once a month. on the first Sunday of each month,
Hmm.
and it's where we meet with other people that have lost and other moms. Um, Husbands and friends and family are welcome to join, but it's really
Yeah.
just always just the mom that comes.
Us guys are weird. Sometimes what we truly do need to meet and to greet and to be with each other, but
Yeah,
we don't want to.
I've only ever been. I've gone to. Luckily, I was able to attend almost every meeting, and since then,
Yeah.
and I've only ever been the only husband, the only dad. It's just guys just don't, and I mean that's a guy thing. Guys
It's
don't
yeah.
seek out support or therapy.
Yeah.
November, I believe it was, either November or October. So about 6, 7 months after,
Hmm.
there was a an event called a Walk to Remember,
Oh, yes. Yes.
and I was asked to speak and tell our story there. And so I wrote out a speech, and it was about 3 pages long. And I said, "Babe, is this good?" And she said, "You have a couple minutes. This needs to be 1 page."
Oh,
And I was like, "Okay." So I cut it down to 1 page,
yeah.
and I gave the speech, and I cried through the whole thing. And I've heard that it touched a lot of people. Um, it definitely didn't leave a dry eye in the place. It was, and it was a beautiful day too. That the event was had. It was nice and sunny, great temperature. We That was the first time we really celebrated him.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, we had done something memorializing him a little bit more earlier in the summer. We took a trip to Florida.
Oh.
We took some of his ashes with us in a
Hmm.
little Ziploc bag, I think, just a
Yeah.
little bitty one. But and so Paige had kept those in her purse, and so that he was kind of with us everywhere we went.
Yeah.
And so we took that same little baggie to Florida when we went for a little vacation over the summer, and we went into the salt water there, the Gulf of Mexico, and we took the little baggie and put some in both of our hands and spread some out in the ocean.
Well, that's very special.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was harder than you think because it's like, we kind of had this idea of now he gets to swim with the sea turtles. Our dogs really enjoyed that trip, though. They rolled in the sand as much as they could. And there's a beach down in Florida. Well, not a beach, a little island, um, that is specifically for dogs.
Mm.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's like they've got dogs on the like sign and everything, and there's like shirts and everything. But because it's one of the few dog friendly beaches.
Hmm.
Because I didn't know this, but because I don't live on the coast, but apparently there's not many beaches that are actually dog friendly.
Oh,
Um, but that whole island is, and it was nice little island. But oh, how sand follows you in
well,
every crack and crevice, and
you brought
oh
back you brought back some of the trip with you for the next
yeah,
4 months.
oh yeah, yeah. But it was cool. We got to stay in one of those Airbnbs, and so there was a pool that we had to ourselves, and
Oh,
it was real nice.
very nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's getting back to getting back to normal after a loss is you never get back. You never go back to what you were. And
yeah,
trying to figure out your new life and how to exist, I guess would be a good way to put it. How to exist yet still moving with your son, still moving through life with your son is
Yeah, I,
it's hard and it's complex and it's heavy.
it is complex.
Yeah.
There's so many layers,
Mm.
especially going back to work.
Mm.
My boss asked me the day that I had came in, and we had just got that news,
Yeah.
and I went in and told her, and she said, "Is there anything we can do?"
Yeah.
And I said, "If you could just tell everyone here at work, because I work with hundreds of people
Yeah.
across multiple shifts, day shift, night shift, and so we have 8 hour, we have 12 hour. There's a whole lot of people in different facts of life
Yeah.
in all walks of life that work there. And so I was like, if you guys could just spread the news so that I don't have to,
Yeah.
that's all that I could ask for, and they did. And so coming back to work, it was a lot of, man, I heard what you went through. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you hate to hear, because as painful as it is, those words aren't really the right words, because unfortunately we can all imagine. Nobody wants to, and I don't want them to. I don't want anyone to have to imagine heartbreak like that. But yeah, I can't imagine is just one of those. It's kind of like empty words to me
Mm.
now.
That's a filler phrase.
Yeah, and it is. And, people don't know what to say, and there was a couple stragglers on like night shift where they were coming out of their shift and I was coming in, and so they were clocking out to go home and I was coming in,
Yeah.
and they'd say, "Oh, hey Ben, how's the baby?" Because they're just one of the stragglers that didn't get the memo,
Yeah.
and so I had to tell him, and I was like, he didn't make it. We lost the baby, and to see their face shift. Oops.
Yeah.
To see their face shift across this emotion of expecting happiness
Yeah.
to the complete opposite, to just the dark side, is just, it's something that we as happy givers, we like to give happiness. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
do. We like to make
Yeah.
jokes and make people happy and make them
Yeah.
laugh.
It's
it's
hard to
it's the
see.
it's the worst thing that we have to do, is to tell people bad news. And so but I did it with the most I don't know what to say, compassion as
Yeah.
I could. you know I thought I had gotten through everyone that I worked with, that I was sure everyone knew. And then Thanksgiving came around, and it would have been, what, 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
And one of my coworkers on second shift, which is an evening shift, he said, "Hey, this is gonna be your boy's first Halloween, right?" I said, "Yeah, it would have been," or first Thanksgiving. I said, "Yeah, it would have been." He said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. It's going to be your whole life. There's
Yeah,
going to be
and
um
that's the question that we get our whole life is, "Do you guys have any kids?"
yeah.
When you're getting to know somebody or getting to share,
Yeah.
your life with somebody new, a new friend or something,
Yeah.
and then
How
and then you
that
get to tell it all over again.
yeah, the whole how do you answer that? That
Yeah,
one question is a quagmire of everything. Every
we've
emotion.
we decided, yes, we
Yeah.
do. His name is Sebastian. He's not with us anymore, but he's still with us in spirit.
Because he still is.
Yeah,
He always will be.
I love your guys's podcast and your message, with put very simply, and I love how elegantly you quoted it, which is, even though our babies are not with us, they're still a part of us, and I think that's great.
Thank you. Trying to be humble. Thanks. Well, thank you. Well,
You're welcome.
Ben, in closing, is there anything else you would like to tell us about your son, Sebastian? Last thoughts, last parting love that you would like to tell us about?
I would talk about Sebastian for days if I could. And I mean, I do. I talk to him, I talk about him all the time. I think I'd say, if I had to tell him anything, I'd tell him I love you, son. I'm proud to be your dad.
The impact our children have. They make us a better person. They make us choose to be better people. And I can see that Sebastian has changed you. It's not the most beautiful sometimes. It's not the most refined sometimes. But as a father to a child, and as a lost father to a child of loss, he makes me see I need to be better
No, I
for him.
should definitely say thank you to Sebastian because he opened my eyes so wide to a whole world of appreciativeness and gratefulness to loved ones and children and parents that I never had before.
Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you.